What's up, party people, and welcome back to another episode of your Dance Specific Talks. I'm Teaser, and today I'm interviewing a very special guest all the way from Miami. Give it up for Lucas. Pa, 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 pa. How are you doing today? You're in the Netherlands currently.
I
How is
am,
it,
yeah.
everything going?
It's going well. I got a few more days here left before going back. Just enjoying my time and getting to take all of the Dutch vibes in before I leave.
Oh, there we go. There we go. At least the sun is out, so you came in a good period.
Today, yeah, it's working.
So we have just kind of got to know each other. I met you a few times. My first time getting an impression of you was when you kind of hosted a question game for artists at the Kiss Lab Festival.
Yeah,
And yeah, it was just such a nice way of kind of getting an impression of a person that for me is like new in the Dutch dance scene here. So
yeah,
tell me a little bit about yourself. I know you have some Brazilian roots. I know you're from Miami, but what
yeah.
more do people need to know about you?
Uh, um, that tells a lot. Yeah, I was born, raised in the U.S. Miami native. I'm big into the social dance scene in general, which I love, and dancing and music. All those things are really big passions of mine. And yeah, my parents, um, they're they're both from Brazil, and their families are from different countries. So we have a really mixed family background dynamic and history. And so I was raised in an area that's really diverse as well. So it's really cool getting to come here to the Netherlands, specifically to some of these bigger cities like Rotterdam, The Hague, Amsterdam, and stuff like that, where you see a lot of those mixed cultures as well. Like it's not just one culture that dominates, it's a lot of other ones. So kind of getting to do that here for a little time and then going back, it's real fun stuff for me. And um, if I were to tell people one thing about me that they would never know is I'm really looking forward to skydiving one day. I've never skydived before, and I think
Oh.
the idea of jumping out of a plane is super cool.
Wow, okay, bucket list and nice, nice. I love that. I did it once when I was 18 and I'm happy I did it while I still had the courage.
That's right.
So,
Now,
but yeah, it was amazing. You should definitely do it. Definitely. Yeah, yeah. I love
um,
that you also said that it's nice for you to, get to visit other places where there is a mixed diversity. Do you easily feel home in different places around the world?
I do, honestly. I feel like there's a few places that I've been in my travels, even if it's for work or something like this, that I'm like, man, I could easily see myself living here or living here for a time, or like, partially living here during the year before going back home. And I like that about this ex exploratory planet we have, where so many cultures have a really cool way of calling us in, of like making us feel welcome. Not all cultures, some cultures are very push away, we don't want you here, but some ones are really, really cool about that. And I feel that getting to see places outside of where we grew up, outside of the way that we saw things as children, helps us so much into understanding people, understanding the world around us, understanding that we're a small part in a really big thing going on. So
Mm. And how do you feel like the world is meeting you? I mean, just based off your looks, do people find it like hard to place where you're from, or is it yeah, what's the reactions?
I think certain countries where like they're exposed to the Latino more, it's very much like oh, he's definitely Latino kind of thing. And then there's certain countries that I've been to where it's just like, you're definitely not from here. Who are you? So I think I have some family in Spain. So when I go visit them, for example, um, it's it's known just by my image and my appearance, the way that I speak or something like this. they like automatically know like you're from the Caribbean, you're South American, you're not from these parts or from that side of the world, you're from somewhere specific. And then I don't know, I think certain places I blend in more as well. I feel like I can get away with a little bit more of like they don't know that I'm here, which is nice.
Mhm.
And then I've been as far east as like Asia or something like that, where it's just you kind of stick out, not being not looking like or sounding like anyone or dressing like anyone either. And so
Mm.
yeah, I think some cultures do a really good job of like placing me, like oh, and even being an English speaker here in the Netherlands, for example, when I come, everyone knows like oh, you're not British, you're not South African, you're 100% American.
Mm.
That'll be like the first, and then they'll try to deduce where my background is from.
Mm, yeah, I find it so interesting, like, our upbringing and kind of the influences we have and we carry with us makes us meet the world in different ways. And when you think back about your upbringing and like kind of the culture influences you maybe had from home, was it like very natural for you to get into dancing? Was it something that was presented to you early, or is this kind of like your rebellious off
Shift, yeah,
offshoot?
yeah, that's a good question. No, my culture, both my direct family, like my direct parents and their parents, they're all very maybe not them themselves, but the culture, of being Latin American, being South American, being raised in the Caribbean, in Miami, is all dance forward, music forward. And so getting into dance was super easy. It was presented as a childhood thing, as a backyard thing, as a every family gathering, every barbecue, every you know, community, grill out or something like this for the area. It was always, music centric, people getting together and dancing. We have, different festivals during the year, like the big Carnival that's happening right now in Rio. That's all showmanship, of the culture of the Brazilian culture forward around the world. Everyone watches it. And so that plus, being my background, plus then where I grew up in Miami as well, like it's the mecca of salsa around the world and the music for it all the at least through the 1950s till now all the migrants from Cuba and Puerto Rico and Dominican Republic and Colombia and Venezuela, they all came there first to get their chance at a shot in music at a career. So like all that stuff influenced me so young, and getting into dance was super easy. I remember starting my salsa journey young. I was in my teens, and
Mm.
and then from there, being able to break out into other styles and stuff like that. And of course, like my parents' culture, the Brazilian culture of samba, the pagode lifestyle, forró things. These are worldwide known dances and styles of music. So it really helped me jump into social dancing with what I felt was with super ease. I enjoyed it a lot.
Mm, okay. Well, was there a big dream of you then to actually like could you ever see yourself in your teens one day organizing a dance festival, or is this like oh my God, I can't believe I'm doing this kind of thing?
No, no chance. No chance. It wasn't at the forefront of my mind. And at the time, again, in my teens, like dance festivals, I think festivals worldwide weren't the biggest thing that was happening maybe at the time in my teens was like congresses for competition, competitive world salsa congresses, something like this, maybe was budding at the time. And nothing else existed like bachata, Brazilian zouk. They probably had some congresses in Brazil, but not outside of the country of Brazil. Kizomba probably at the time didn't have anything really organized, maybe outside of Angola. So the only thing that I could experience at a at a competitive level, even never mind a professional or something like this, was maybe competitive, team dancing, choreographed or something like that. But never in my mind did I think about like, oh yeah, I'll probably end up organizing a festival and helping with festivals someday. No, definitely a different side of the entertainment industry. I imagine that, but definitely not with dance. So it's really interesting now to see myself like, how did I get here? This is interesting.
And what do you actually prefer to dance right now then? Because you have then, you dance salsa,
And
you have these other influences, like, but now you dance kizomba. So what is it? Is it kizomba you prefer right now, or what is your current love in dancing?
yeah, I feel like, not all of us have the teaser knees, in our 30s. And so I feel like it's been really enjoyable to get to like jump into a dance like Kizomba, in Urban Kids, all the Kizomba umbrella dances, Coladera, Samba. I've really enjoyed that in this period of my life. I feel like all the other ones, not that I retired from them, but I retired from them. Like it's just, they took up a great portion of my life in my earlier years. And now, I get to enjoy this in a whole different state because we also don't have access to a lot of this at, at this saturation level in the US. Like the Netherlands, for example, can easily have in 1 week 4 or 5 events locally in a week without even breaking a sweat. For us to have something like that in our communities, in the biggest communities in the US, to have a once a week event, a once a week social of maybe 20 or 30 people maximum is rare in some of the biggest cities in my country. So I kind of get to focus on that, being able to come out here and enjoy it. And then, of course, I love it when people get to come to visit me. A little birdie told me that you're going to be coming to visit me soon in
Hey.
Miami. I love when people come to visit me because then I get the joy again of like showing them some of the spots, like, hey, this is a salsa, diehard salsero spot. Let's go check it out in the heart of Little Havana or something like that. I get the joy of doing that again from time to time. But yeah, probably right now, if I were to take my time out, my funds out, my energy out for going social dancing, it would be Kizomba related.
Mm. Well, I mean, we don't complain about that.
Yeah.
We definitely like when our American brothers and sisters are coming to join because yeah, for the last 12 years now, we have kind of had this massive explosion, of
Yeah.
Kizomba events. And when I started back in the days, 11 years ago,
Deep.
we were always the darkest, the smallest room on the Kizomba and Bachata events. And
Yeah.
it didn't take long before Kizomba was that like naughty little brother who was like, no, we're gonna have our own things and we're gonna mix it up and we're gonna have like Kizomba Urban Kids Tarasho, Dusser, and yeah, since then just I don't know, just Europe became this place where things are just happening there. So we're super happy you are being a representative, for the Kizomba scene out there. And yeah, let's talk a little bit more about Miami and this upcoming festival of yours.
Yeah.
Is it how long have you been involved in it? Is it yeah, kind of take us a little bit about the story behind
Yeah.
Miami
This,
Dance
yeah.
Fusion Festival.
This or the original festival was Dance Fusion Festival, and it's taken place in 3 major cities already in the U.S. It started off back in 2015 in Myrtle Beach, and that was a combo festival between some bachata and again small kizomba, small zouk at the time, and they did that for one edition, and then they moved it to L.A. where my partner for the event was living at the time. He was based in L.A., so it became Los Angeles Dance Fusion Festival. And approaching COVID, the idea was to, on his part, to move it East Coast. And that's where he and I met was during COVID. And so I got involved in 2021 and Florida during the COVID period, whether people like it or don't, Florida was one of those places on earth that was wide open. It was just like, hey,
Mm.
if you're, if you have any reason why you should be inside, stay inside. But for those people that want to come out, feel free to come out. And in these enclosed spaces like malls or something like that, will have more restrictions. But we're a beach country, beach state. We're a beach area. We're going to be outside, like be outside. And so we were that year, to my knowledge, one of the only festivals in North America for sure,
Mm.
and maybe even around the planet, because a lot of the places that I wanted to go that year for my first festivals outside of the US, they were all closed. So I got involved as of 2021, and I jumped in just as an operator, just being able to operate at that time. And then I became a minority investor and then started investing more as well into the idea and becoming closer with my partner. And so now the event has fully moved away from Los Angeles. We stopped doing the Los Angeles edition in 2022. We did both Miami and LA those 2 years. And as of 2023, it became Miami only. And we may go back to LA at some point and maybe branch off a little bit and thinking about going to different states and different cities, maybe even here to Europe. But right now it's a Miami-based festival. It used to be again big bachata, little kizomba, and zouk, but now it's very much like the kizomba scene has taken its rightful place in the festival realm, at least for some of the bigger ones in the U.S. And I feel like my role in that when I first came in was solely focused on kizomba. Bachata and zouk had their other operators. My partner was kind of running that, and my role was just attracting people, calling people in, and leveraging relationships and network to kind of make this more of a Kizomba centric event. And since pretty much 2021 till now, Kizomba has kind of only grown,
Mm.
and it's really cool. Last year was our first time in 2024 where we saw equal numbers in Kizomba and Bachata, which
Mm.
was a huge win for us. So if we can repeat that
Mm.
this year, that'll be great. But yeah, we have a dope Brazilian Zouk lineup, a dope Bachata Sensual lineup, and a lot of the people coming for Kizomba as well are really, really cool. Some good friends, some people that I really look up to, in their craft. And I know that they'll add to my scene as well. That's the major reason why we do festivals, outside of the business aspect of things, is to get people around where the festival is located exposed. It's not just for people to come in and travel and be like, hey, check out Miami. That's nice. I'm glad that people do come and do that. But if the Miami area, if Florida, if the US isn't exposed to all this high level art, high level creativity, then they'll never be inspired as well to seek that out. So I think that's what I've been doing for the past 4, 5 years now. 21, 2, 3, 4, 5. This will be my fifth edition working with them. And fourth being a partner in the event. And I've really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed being able to help grow that. And now my role isn't Kizomba only anymore. Now I take it on a bigger role, but it's really cool again to see how Kizomba has kind of grown in the
Mm.
Miami scene, grown in the festival as well. Now people want to come
Mm.
from Europe. It's really cool. We got some people coming here from the Netherlands later on this year. So it'll be fun.
Yay. Yeah, yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. And I think it's also interesting to see kind of how, yeah, how it's going to grow in the States, because obviously you have enough people to come into it. But I remember early on meeting a few people that came, like Bill and Monica and Ola
Yeah.
Wale, and like these people were so early to coming, Hercules, and
Yeah.
yeah, like they were early coming here, but then you kind of don't know what's going on,
Right.
like what happened then, what happened after. And so yeah, it's gonna be super interesting. And I also I also find like the area Miami also super interesting, because you
Yeah.
mentioned before that it's like you guys are almost kind of identifying a little bit like Caribbean, and Latin America
Yeah.
has this huge influence. So it just seems to be a very different area of the States, because I
Wow.
think a lot of people have like a very New York, image about this continent almost,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's just not representative at all. Um, so yeah, why, what is it that makes you most proud of being, from this area? What is it like when people come from the outside? What is some of the things you're like, you need to see this or eat this or kind of experience this?
Mm. Yeah, I think the culture in general covers so much, but like I'm super proud of the culture. I feel like this we have it in our country in general, like, and some people call the world nationalism, we'll call it patriot, whatever it is. I'm just a fan of home. I'm a really big fan of home, and I love bragging on home a little bit because the culture is again so diverse, and it affects everything. It affects the fashion, it affects the music, it definitely affects the food. If you're coming to Miami, the great country of Miami, you have to eat there because again, it's kind of like being here. It's just so eclectic. You have access to so much because it is the port, it is the place of entry into the country of the US outside of Puerto Rico. It is the mainland part that everyone has access to, at least on that side of the Caribbean and the northeast side of South America. So like we have access to it all. Everyone from those that whole side of the planet, that whole area usually has family that migrates there, and so the restaurants and the food and the music and the culture is fantastic for that. And then again, the beach life, I think I lived and grew up in Miami. I lived and worked in Los Angeles as well, and that's also another beach area in the country, and it's the polar opposite side. But the beach life in Miami and South Florida is so um, recognizable as it's there's a dark side of it, like where people just the nightlife and the things that like people shouldn't get into, and then there's also the area of like the family level of things and being able to enjoy the sun and being out, really enjoying life outside a bit is really cool. We don't have a lot of mountains, we don't have a lot of lakes and stuff like that, but we do have the beach and we do have the sun and we do have the beach breeze, and so it's really nice to be able to be out there. And so when people talk about Miami, the first thing that I know that they think of is colors, salsa, Cubans, and South Beach. Everyone like they know that, but it's so much more than that. And so whenever I get an opportunity to talk about home, I make sure that people get to get a full picture of what that looks like, feels like, and smells like. And sometimes people will get to come and they'll see what I'm talking about, and I'll be like, "See, told you." And it's really nice. It's really nice to be able to kind of do that and have that kind of, you know, I like home, I love home kind of thing, to where we're proud of it.
That's nice. It's
Um,
also it's funny because I know that we the last time we saw each other talked about this, like how
yeah,
different cultures are representing their homes and how in some countries you just kind of like you don't have that. You don't have the proud I want to show off kind of
yeah,
mentality. And yeah, it's just really nice to talk with someone who is very proud and who wants to represent it. And
yeah,
yeah, it just fills me with a lot of excitement because when you talk about this beach life, I only see Copacabana in front of me. Like I kind of just
yeah.
see the breeze coming in from there.
Yes,
So, but it is such an I know you guys don't have like favelas, you know what I mean? So it is
no,
that contrast of the States, but also the other side of it. So yeah,
yeah.
I'm excited. I'm looking forward to see something very new for me. And yeah, tasting food is always good.
Be
Tasting
really good.
food.
Bring sunscreen. That's all I'm gonna say. The sun
Mm,
is different down in
yeah, yeah,
down there
yeah, yeah.
because
Now,
of
when
the
you're
elevation.
rocking 90 plus percentage Scandinavian DNA,
There
you
you go.
gotta carry sunscreen for sure.
Sure.
Um, I want to get into a little bit more of your personal connection to the dance of Kizomba.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, I have danced with you, and I feel like you represent a little bit more of like the gentleman style. That's so I call it. You have different dancers. You have like the experimental dancers, and you have just the cuddle dancers, the huggers, and you have like steppers like Dwayne and Gabby. They're very steppy,
Yeah, yeah.
and then you have the little bit more traditional ones that are having they carry themselves with a bit more of a gentleman posture.
Hmm.
How would you describe yourself as a dancer and the kind of connection you want to give to your followers?
That's really cool. I could totally see that. I remember having chatted a little bit after our last dance about that, about um, especially because it it was very moment oriented too. Like the music had just switched when we started dancing from like something very heavy urban to something a little bit more on the Cabo Kizomba side. It wasn't fully there yet, but it was like just switching on over. And so I feel like something that I tried to convey in my dance specifically is that I love that I'm connecting with someone else. But I know that like, yeah, if I don't translate what the music is doing, then I'm translating the wrong thing. I just feel like I'm focusing on something different. I just feel like I'm just trying to get us from point A to point B to when we start dancing to the final hug. Thank you so much. I don't really feel like I played a part in taking us anywhere. It's just kind of like, random steps and motions. But I think that the idea of what I try to convey in my dance is that the music is leading me, and I have the opportunity of leading my follow. My follow has the opportunity of responding to my lead. And at the end of the day, we're both connecting to each other, but primarily to the music, whatever the music is doing. And so that's why I feel like my posture then changes. I try to do that. And that's maybe one of the small things that we do in the North American dancing scene for Kizomba is that we're exposed more to events that do all of the music styles. We don't have the luxury of just having 10 Kizomba Samba events and 10 Urban Kiz events. Maybe there's like one or two of each that are really separate, but all of the other ones are all mixed. So the DJs are going to play everything all night long. So you have to dance this and that, and to a good, decent enough extent for you to keep dancing. And so our follows and our leads are all kind of exposed to, hey, when Kizomba is playing, we don't dance the way we would dance when the urban music is playing or when Douceur is playing. Like the music tells us this, and so we kind of got with that. So I try to translate that in my dance and connecting with my partner is like, hey, the music is shifted. Let's go where the music is going, and I'll uh I'll make sure that I'm really genuine to that style. I try to make sure that I adjust to what that's asking of us, and then we kind of create together based off of like the canvas that the DJs are giving us. So I try to do that. I try to also be really intentional with the music, musicality, and that doesn't mean that I'm hitting every single thing possible because I think for me that just it gets redundant to do that. But I think learning our music and knowing our music that's being played and some of the old hits and stuff like that matter because when some of these DJs bring it out, we have a capacity to respond to that, to be like, oh, this is where the music is going. We can go in that direction. And where some people don't know the music or it's older things, maybe before their time. Um, I think that's when like it's just again kind of like moving randomly a little bit. So it's nice. I do like to get surprised by new songs, by new hits, by new doesn't matter the genre. But I think that like being a little bit of a doing some homework as a dancer is really important. Like listening to the styles that we dance socially. If I feel like the only time I dance to it, especially in the US, where we have so very little opportunities, if I only dance to it when I go to a social or went to an event, my exposure level is small. So
Mm.
I try as a lead, as a dancer, as someone who listens to the music to get exposed to as much of this as possible, either like on my phone or when I'm in the car driving, when I'm in the plane. I'll spend my free time learning the music that's being played right now and the ones before my time too. Like you guys you've mentioned you've been in the scene for 11 years now.
Mm.
How many people in the scene that are the newcomers, the COVID people like me, know songs from 11 years ago. And so I want
Mm.
to make sure that, man, I want to know the things that made you guys start dancing. I want to know
Mm.
that so that when that's played, there's a nostalgia piece for you, right? And I'm able to respond to that as well, as a lead and be able to like, I know where this song is going. I can help, you know, accent and lift this piece of music. So I don't know. I'm a big musician as well at heart. That's like my background, and so I just treat the music as a real big guide, and I try to translate that in my dance. So when we dance, for example, again, like the music was transitioning. We started in urban, and then it kind of went to like ghetto zouk, and then went to that. I wanted to make sure that this part of the dance didn't feel like this part of the dance.
Mm.
If it was, then I for me wouldn't really enjoy redundant like static.
Mm.
dances as much.
Exactly. Exactly. Then the dynamics changes, and
Yeah.
it's funny also that you are mentioning this because 10 years ago, I we used to have Morella Soul being one of the earliest DJs coming to Sweden
Yeah, my
and
boy.
representing the style. And it's just funny because now I get to live in the same country, but before I used to travel specifically to festivals where I knew if he was playing, it was gonna be a jam.
Yeah,
So it's also nice to also kind of give the flowers to the DJs because they are raising and fostering our community. And
100%.
because of them, we get that exposure, we get the history, and they are carrying a huge part in us and in raising us dancers of
Yeah,
what is actually included in the culture.
yeah,
So for people, maybe listeners that are maybe just entering, they maybe are COVID babies like you, what is your best advice for finding music? Is it a like do you have specific DJs? Do you go on SoundCloud? Like where
yeah,
do you go to find it as an American
yeah.
who's not exposed to DJs every week?
Hero. I'll tell you exactly step by step what I did during COVID when I didn't get to meet any of these people. Is is for the social media of festivals. Here's a big one. Shazam is a big tool as well, being able to kind of do that. So if you have multiple devices, when I started, all I could see was videos of festivals, videos of online presences. I couldn't come here during the time because of lockdown. We couldn't travel, and so in looking at events and seeing people demo and dance, I don't know this song. Let me Shazam this song, and you would see by doing that constantly that there would be a pattern sometimes of this artist, this producer, who's the DJ in the background, who are they tagged, and over time now I've done that enough to get to know most of these characters, these scene heroes, I would call them, and I would encourage people to do that. Is first make sure like that you're really, if it's a song you don't know, whether you like it or don't, try to give it a listen, try to research who it was, and if you can't as well find it, maybe now I can say it was probably an exclusive song or a song that hasn't been released yet, but some DJs that I feel like are the ultimate culture carriers. In my knowledge, and some of them are friends, some of them are not, just objectively. Um, I think anybody could look up Pinguso. You mentioned Morella Soul, Stefano Lima, um, Lenny, DJ Lenny, DJ Shark is a massive music outputter there for people that don't know the Kizomba scene yet. He puts a lot of stuff that gets out there. Zayix as well. Zayix is a monster at like the tracks that really hit during maybe what the peak, the first peak of the urban kids and kizomba scene was prior to COVID. I'm believing there's another one coming. Yeah, Stefano Pinguso, Morella Soul, Zayix. You have some Dutch ones, David Ruella, DNL Beats, Lisa Rose, and Danny Fernandez. Some of the guys in France who are OGs like Chad, Valet. There's a lot of really good ones. And again, for the history side of things, like the pre-COVID, the ones who hit back then, Sabuda in Portugal, he'll take you through a history journey. Make sure like you'll listen to songs here like I need this one. And I think again, being a little bit of a music head as a dancer helps a lot. It's more than just learning the steps and learning the motions and learning how you can connect with your partner. I think that the more we become a little bit like historians almost and capture some of that, you can come in as a newer dancer and still have a vintage feel. You can come in as you know, a vintage dancer and still have a newer feel because you're keeping up with the times, right? And so I think it kind of empowers people to really maximize their dance. And some of these DJs that I mentioned, just big flowers, big kudos, because like you
Mm.
mentioned, they've been raising the people. They raised me. They helped me become the dancer that I am today as well. So
Yeah, I love that. Thank you for listing so many names. We're definitely gonna see if we can tag them all so they get
for
their
sure.
flowers, you know? And I think it's so interesting because what you also mentioned before is like, yeah, you guys don't have the luxury of having specific events with DJs separating the music. You have it all. And it reminds me so much about how us Europeans used to think about hip hop. Like
Yeah,
back in the days, we used to receive videotapes of breaking or breakdance, and
yeah,
in those videotapes there was all styles, but we had no idea that those
right.
were separate styles. So it took so much research to the point where we, ended up calling it street dance in Europe for a long time. You were entering street dance classes where there was locking, popping, breaking, house, and all of it mixed
Yeah,
because you didn't have enough knowledge and enough um, yeah, wisdom and enough steps in order to separate it. So we kind of
right.
just threw it all
All
together. Our
together. Yeah,
ways of having hip hop crews when I grew up was to have one of each style. So in one crew, you had to have one b-boy, one popper, one crumper, one dance hall, one,
wow.
so to cover it all because we looked at stuff like You Got Served and thought in your crew you got to be able to throw out one person beating
Yeah,
the other person in that style, but we
wow.
didn't have a lot of crews just specializing in one. So it's
Yeah,
just funny how now in other styles you come back and you have the same thirst of knowledge and the same hustle of in getting information, like you just
yeah,
said, shazamming songs, trying to figure out who did this edit going on there, SoundCloud put radio on that song, finding
yeah.
similarities,
100%.
and in a way that's the beauty of it all, to just get immersed into it and just deep dive into it and realizing it's a whole underground world
Yeah,
to take part of. So yeah, thank you for sharing that. It really made me fill up with like just the love for seeking knowledge and seeking
yeah.
wisdom. Mm,
It's a hustle. You mentioned that. That's a good way of saying it. Because there's a hustle behind wanting to know more. And some
mm,
people don't, and it's okay. But like you mentioned, for those that are getting in, and for those that maybe don't have been in for a while, but still don't know the tools, SoundCloud, your Shazams, your playlist, some of these DJs will have it in their profiles. Go check them out on social media. They'll have a link to a playlist that they did, a live mix that they recorded. And again, and in those mixes, there'll be songs that you can Shazam and want to know who did it as well. It's like it's a never-ending circle. And so I think that plus the exposure that you guys have here in Europe, and maybe for any listener around the world, like going to your socials as well, sometimes interacting with those DJs builds a little bit of rapport, a little bit of friendship, a little bit of like, hey, I appreciate what you're doing. I'm just gonna sit here for a while. Sometimes I'll do that. I think you guys have seen that when I'll come here to the Netherlands now, like I'll dance for maybe like half the night, and the other half of the night I'm just either hanging or I'm just chilling, enjoying the music because now I have it at an enjoyment level, and so I think that that's a part of it too.
definitely, definitely. And just to circle back now, because in about 6 months, the event is happening in Miami.
Whoa,
What are some, like, what kind of feeling are you trying to create on this festival? Tell me when it is
yeah.
and tell me what people can expect coming to it.
Here's what Miami Dance Fusion Festival looks like. The location now plays a lot into what it kind of looks like, feels like, and smells like. And not that it's a whole different brand from what it was in LA, but even before me, the original owner and my partner, he set it up as a really classy event. It's
Mm,
uh it's different than maybe most uh bachata events or kizomba only events or Brazilian zouk only events. Since it's a BKZ, it's all three genres. We try to not have any genre look like or feel like it's the stepchild. Everyone gets operated as if it's an individual festival happening inside of a festival. And
mm,
so you'll feel this connection between the spaces, but you'll also feel a really big autonomy with them as well. Like if you are a really big Kizomba head and you love urban and tarasho and stepping and douceur and all, and you don't really care about bachata or zouk, the other areas won't affect you. But if you're a really big bachata dancer and you really love kizomba and you really have a passion for learning zouk, then the areas will affect you. It's really built that way, the way that we organize within the hotels that we've used. And we are beachfront. We're the only beachfront property in North America. That means Canada, Mexico, the all of the United States. We're the only beachfront festival, period. Everyone else is like near a beach or by a beach. We're the only ones right there in front of the beach. And so every day we'll have pool parties as well, a pool party that overlooks the beach kind of thing. And people can go onto the sand as well and enjoy it. So you'll have a big access to that beach life, which is so crucial to us having moved the event on over. You know, it's beaches everywhere else, just for us pale in comparison for what we have to offer for our home. So we have that. And then as well, when it comes to, I mentioned the classy style, it's like, it's very, everything is very directed towards a specific type of consumer that wants to be in a really respectful atmosphere. I won't say, oh, it's a family event. Some people that come through, like if they feel the reunion level of it is very familial level, but it's very much for the dancer that like, hey, I'm investing in being here. I really want to make sure I get quality education and high level social dances, and that it's really enjoyable. And the music is always at a place that's like it's respectable. It never gets really to the maybe like the ratchet side of things, or to like, you know, we can enjoy that kind of nightlife in Miami elsewhere. If we're coming here for a purpose, it's coming for a purpose. And so the festival kind of feels like that. It's really clean. It's really, you know, above board. It's also still Miami, so you can kind of have whatever kind of fun it is you're looking for, you know, and everything, everyone and everything is welcome. But what we try to produce, both aesthetically and in image and as a brand, is that this is something that people can really feel good about having invested in. We don't want any consumer to walk away and being like, man, I really threw my money away at being there. Man, the music quality wasn't good for me. Man, the audio was really low. The hotel was kind of like we really try to do everything at the event at a 5-star level. There's water available throughout the whole property 24/7 for people, because it is South Florida. It's humid, it's hot. South Florida, Miami weather in the summer is like 35, 40, 45 degrees, you know, depending on the day, with like 97% humidity. And so it's always like, okay, if I'm going to be outside, I'm going to be in my bathing suit, you know, because I don't want to wear anything else. We try to make sure that the inside as well feels really approachable, really cool for people, really enjoyable, because there is this outside inside dynamic of South Florida where my Europeans, watch out. Air conditioning in the US is serious. We have really strong air codes. And so we want to make sure that's what like people feel are really great dancing, that they can dress up if they want to. And our themes are really geared towards that. And it's not like I'm dancing in the swamp. You know, it's really, you know, it's not fully elegant by any means, but it's just classy. It's really classy. It's really approachable. You mentioned that gentleman feel. We have, you know, real ladies and real gentlemen like there that are dancing all three dances, you know? And so I think people from all over are going to enjoy it. It's about, you know, 1,200, 1,300 people that come every year for the whole event. And so you'll also see a lot of people that come in from the other dances as well. Like if you're coming strictly for Kizomba, don't be surprised if your Zouk and Bachata artists are coming into our room later on, because our DJs are just so spectacular across the board. But I have a little bit of favoritism towards Kizomba. Don't tell nobody.
Of course, don't
Don't
we
tell
all?
nobody. But yeah, that's what the event's like.
Thank you so
The date
much.
for
And
the date,
yeah.
August, it's the weekend of August 29th. Our Thursday pre-party is really low key. People usually come into town and just do their own thing. And then on the 29th, already that Friday, workshops begin during the day, pool party in the evening, you know, which is the social, and then the parties at night. And we have Jack and Jill's, people that are wanting to compete as well for the genres. We
Also
partner,
in Kizomba? Do you
Yeah,
have
as
Jack
well
and
as you
Jill and
know, we
Kizomba?
do have Jack and Jill Kizomba.
I
Yeah.
am signing up
Um,
right now. How do I
do
sign
it.
up? How do I
Do
sign
it.
up?
Well, we have add-ons as well online during, on the ticket platform
Nice.
for that. But yeah,
Okay.
and our Brazilian Zouk side of things as well. Like they're really massive on the organization side of things. They have the Brazilian Zouk World Council, which is a whole different level of organization. They come and partner with us as well at the event to run their formal Jack and Jill, which they have a
Oh.
whole ranking system and a whole point system. It's really cool to see at like the next level of like, hey, this is where we could go as a dance scene, you know, the more we
Mm.
unify, the more we get structured. And so we get exposed to that. We get exposed to high level bachata artists and dancers as well, because the US is known for having a big bachata scenes. And so it's a really nice festival. Hope everyone comes. It's a holiday in the US on that Monday. So people come from all around the country. And yeah, it'll be really enjoyable.
Awesome. Yeah, so I will definitely link the event in the description below, of course, so
Dude,
you can check it out, get your tickets, go to the only beachfront festival. I
that's
love
it.
that. Great, 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 great. Okay, man, we have kind of come to the end of this interview, but before we
Yeah.
go, I'm going to ask you a question from Move That Soul. People who do not know what Move That Soul is, it's a game I created out of this podcast, actually. I had a lot of questions for dancers, and I thought, why just keep it for artists and organizers? We can actually ask each other this
That's really
in
cool.
friends groups. You can play it with your students, and it's a box that has one side of ask cards, and they are funny questions, deep questions, and I promise you, you will get to know people that you maybe thought you knew in a
Mm.
completely different way. And then you have a move part that has guidelines of moves like move like water or close your eyes. And if you and I would to play it, I would give you a move card that you would have to freestyle to, but I picked the
Ooh.
song. So
Ooh.
you can play it in
I love
groups, you can play it
this.
two and two. This is a very good icebreaker. I just had an event in Rotterdam this weekend, and it's a very fast way for people to like get out of their comfort zone, get to know each other, but also
Love that.
not just through dancing, also verbally. So
That's
yeah,
really
I'm gonna give you a question, and
oh
this has maybe to do not only with your dancing, but with life. So, Lucas,
yes.
when did you last break free from your comfort zone, and what did you discover about yourself?
Man, the last time that I broke free from my comfort zone, I made a really big, this is non-dance related. I made a really big life move recently, and I changed up a whole part of my life that had to do with work and scheduling and being in one place and all kind of being all over. And I, I made, I took charge of all that, of something people would maybe call really stable or really constant. And I made myself, you know, more available to a lifestyle that allows me to work and be focused and be centered and be in one place for a period of time, but then also be able to hear myself and say, time's up. It's time. I need to rest. I need to be able to do that. And long story short with that is it's been an experiment of ups and downs and learning a lot about myself as well, learning a lot about my will, like how disciplined I am to make sure that I do certain things that keep me in places both mentally and emotionally and spiritually grounded, you know, and centered, but also the the feeling of being free, you know, being of not bound to a mentality that I thought would be my mentality for life. You know, it looked like this, it smelled like that, and it tasted like this, repeat. And being able to kind of break away from that has taught me so much about myself, about how I respond to being at risk, how I respond to trying something out for the first time, how I respond to winging it, and how I have to be prepared as well to be able to do all those things. And I don't know, I think it's just shown me a lot about how much I appreciate, some of the people around me who have like paved that, whether it be my parents, whether it be my family, my friends, and as well, people that I get to know now as well that I would have never have met had I not have made some of these decisions. And so I really learned a lot. And I think that 10 times out of 10, I would have chosen it again. As much as it has ups and downs, I think it's shown me a different way of living, and I'm really grateful for it.
Yeah, I saw some quote about this the other day where it said, "Sorry, I had to push you out of your comfort zone in order for you to grow."
Mm,
PS from the universe, and
yeah,
I really resonate with that. I do think that freedom is such a privilege.
it
We
is.
are to be able to choose is that we actually can, and
Yeah,
when we choose that for ourselves, everything becomes a choice we make out of free will, who we hang out with, what we're prioritizing. And so unlocking that freedom is so scary and so can bring a lot of instability, but it changes all the puzzle pieces so that they can land
yeah,
the ones that are most important and that shows what our core values are in the end.
absolutely.
So thank you for sharing that. Thank you
My
so
pleasure.
much. Thank you for coming on this podcast, sharing about your story for people who don't know where to find you if they want to reach out to you personally. Um, Please share us your social. Where can people find you right now?
Yeah, I think both on Facebook and on Instagram, Lucas Nuance, Nuance. They're both there at Lucas Nuance. And if you have trouble finding me, just be a really good detective. Go on to Teaser's profile, see who she's following, and type in Lucas. I should be there.
Oh, awesome. Thank you so much and enjoy the rest of your time in the Netherlands.
Thank
And
you.
if I don't see you until August, then I'll see you there. And
Yeah,
good luck with all the preparation for this festival.
thank you so
Don't forget
much.
to click subscribe, comment below, and give us a rating or review. We have a Facebook page, YouTube page, and we are on Spotify, Google Podcasts, iTunes, and all the other podcast platforms. We also have an Instagram, so don't forget to tag us in your favorite episode and share it with the world because we read all of it.